Chapter 8 Watching Videos with William. I have been watching more of these videos that we have recorded of your planet. It has really kicked into me my lack of awareness of my own environment. I've been locked up in this spaceship my entire life. It's all I can know. You can never understand that. I've never thought about it before. I've never felt trapped before. It was just life as I knew it to be. If I had to describe my surroundings, I would describe them as safe. Safe from the absolute freezing cold and the airless vacuum of space outside. Do you know how empty space is? Not that empty. It stretches on forever, but it is so far that it is impossible. The darkness acts as a wall, makes it look like there is an end to space. Stars just look like lights in the sky. But you grow up with that. It's accepted there is nothing beyond the ship, so you make space smaller to fit in with your world. As far as you're concerned, space may only be a meter deep. The only thing that suggests it's not is by spending hundreds of years traveling from one point of it to another. But that's something that only this last generation of people are distinctly aware of as we approach our goal, and something that only the first generation were aware of as they departed. Millions of billions of people in all the years in between have never needed to be aware of this. They were too far away from either planet to ever give it a second's thought. The nostalgia fades for the previous home, and the hope of a new home is too far away. This is your home, and there is nowhere else to go. But what about you on Earth? For you, exploration is everything. You can travel from one part of your world to another part of your world. You have that much freedom. To travel to a new home takes a matter of days at the most. So that journey can be the most exciting thing you can ever embark upon. To live in a city, but to move to the sea. To live in a desert and go to the lush rural areas of the countryside. You can experience something new every day if you choose. We cannot do that. For most, the furthest journey taken is to depart from their living place to their workplace. Families are not widespread because there is nowhere to spread to. For us, the most exciting thing we can do is to journey outwards into space in tiny little craft, the craft that have now become what they originally were, our military craft. But that is dull and unexciting, as much as the prospect seems ideal to you. For us, we are going from one artificially created environment to a much smaller artificially created environment, never that far away from the mothership. For you, I'm sure it would be absolutely exciting, as you may one day find out. But for you, space is not an everyday part of life. It is beyond that. The land of the gods, the depths of it all, the uncharted space, the new experiences of being away from your natural world. Of course, it was all once like that for ourselves, but that was before we embarked on this journey, or rather, limbo life. Of course, if you were to come onto this ship, you would feel uncomfortable, imprisoned, confined. The inability to get away from walls would shock you. But you have that ability to feel freedom, to feel wonder at new sights, sounds, smells, experiences, to change your scenery, to go outside your house and to go inside your house. Everybody feels safer inside their house. And I guess that's kind of how we feel safer inside our house, our mothership. But there is so much more to your world than that. You have weather systems, seasons, natural light, natural darkness, unpredictable temperature changes, air that feels free to move how it wants to move. You can also create that artificially to alter to your comforts with the aid of technology. But technology is all we have. I have been watching film footage that our craft had recorded of your planet, and it all seems so daft and so very, very frightening. I guess that's one advantage of being a supreme leader, or at least someone in such authority, that I can get access to these pieces of footage, that I can then have these thoughts, these private thoughts. I've always known about weather, of course everyone has, but it's something that is largely forgotten, as I believe happens to those people who live in climates that don't alter very much over the year. At least that's what I'd guess. I'd feel that it's only in areas that have more unpredictable weather patterns that the weather becomes a focus. But ignoring that for now, everyone on board ship knows about weather. It's mentioned in old literature. It's mentioned in pieces of writing where people want to break away from it all. But these are very rare writings and have never sunk much into today's popular culture. Our planet had weather patterns too, of course it did. There are broadcasts about Earth, informative broadcasts, where all dimensions of life there are dissected, from plants to animals, from geography to weather, and anything else you can think of. These are never in particular depth, and they are so controlled that they never allow enough information for people to be able to let their own thoughts to expand on it. It's all back of the mind stuff. But I have become aware of all this whilst watching a video of a town centre towards dusk in a smaller island country. Chosen because of its sea access, our smooths could enter over the ocean, creep inland where not so many would see it, make its escape, and take off over the ocean again. Now, though, all that secrecy is no longer needed. It is such an uneventful video. The scientists have found no traces of undiscovered technologies. Anthropologists have found no new behavioral patterns. It is routine footage of the kind that is often fast-forwarded through, speeding up time to gain quicker access to anything new. I too would have fast-forwarded through. Yet I saw a man stumble. It caught my eye. I did not immediately fast-forward. It was a sign of humans being human. Nothing new, we have much of that footage, but I started to gain more interest. I saw people going into buildings, people coming out of buildings, and then it started to rain. It's so subtle, you don't notice it at first, but a speck of rain hit the camera, followed by a couple more, a sudden blurring of the world, the start of something new, something fresh. Even with wipers, the outlook had changed, not just for me, but for everyone on the streets. Coats built with hoods finally make sense when they're pulled over the head to prevent getting wet. People putting up umbrellas. The streets beginning to shine. People walking quicker in time with the steadying of the rain. running even, sometimes with newspapers held over the head. In a moment, everything has changed. The world is new, reborn. Others not even bothering to acknowledge the new world order where rain dominates, continuing to just walk through the streets like nothing is happening. I rewind to watch again, slower this time. A drop falls past the camera, followed by 3, 5, countless. Light at first, soon heavier and bigger drops. Entirely random, seemingly from nowhere. I'm still on the bridge and, needing security access, I call out to my security chief, Yurtjuk, to get me another tape. He quite audibly screams at another member of security staff to get me another tape. As if the scream isn't enough, he shoves him on his way. Soon enough, this member of security, who I believe is called Legault, comes back with a handful of tapes, 2 of which he drops when Yurtjuk yells at him for taking so long. Stooping down to pick up one of these dropped tapes, I then put it into the machine. This one is from last winter. This time it's snowing. The same chemicals and substances as rain, but an entirely different context. These drops are frozen, yet they dance in the air. They land softly on the snow that has already formed on the floor, its frozen state of hardness, not allowing it to be washed away, but to remain, with the sun shining on the snow. Children are playing. It is no wonder that this weather system is acknowledged with love, so much more in pictures, in talk, on cards, everywhere. But why, when snow is so much more dangerous? Rain comes, gets you wet, but feeds the crops, whereas snow comes to kill the crops. It is cold to touch. Ice can cause accidents. The cold brings diseases. Is there a beauty in this danger? The landscape has altered. What were once green fields, grey buildings, have all become a uniform white. Amazing to look at from a spectator's point of view. But where is the real beauty? What is the real beauty? No, I just don't understand. I can get rain whenever I want, but in small, confined spaces. That's from my shower. I never find that interesting, so why bother with all this rain? I can get snow and ice from my freezer. I could cover my room in it if I want, try to simulate a snow-covered field or something. But what's the use? It would still be my room, and I would know that I would have to tidy up. It would be my mess to clear, not some supernatural force controlling the conditions of each day. You have languages as well. That's liberating. That helps with the idea of escape. But I can never escape because I am too scared to come to Earth. It's too unpredictable. The ozone layer being your only protection from us, the sun and space. It would not feel safe. Trapped in the confines of my mind, would I ever leave my house if I was to have one? I feel tempted to carry on, past this planet, back into the depths of space. But I know that my fate has been sealed now. I both envy you and am jealous of you. I want to kill you, kill to have that as we deserve. But also, I admire you for your bravery. I feel that you may have something to offer, a courage. But time will tell. This is the Trascon mothership, the fleet, having travelled through the depths of space, a journey with such significance for us that the only entity that can match it is the Trascon world itself, or at least the idea of the Trascon homeland. With a destination charted for the fleet that was to last a journey of 850 years, we have finally come to the promised land. For the first time in nearly a millennia has it finally been allowed to slow down. Soon, the fleet may go the same way as the Trascon homeland, as it is deserted in the pursuit of greater lands. And that is important, for this journey has given the fleet the status of a world, albeit one played out in fast forward, for it has carried life, many generations of life. It has had many major dramas played out on it. It has experienced wars. It has seen the great pursuit of science and technology. It has seen the expansion of the race known as Trascons, the one factor that the scientists on Trasconia solve, the one factor that meant that life on board ship, already cramped and claustrophobic, could only get worse and deteriorate. Supplies went down quicker than expected. Rationing was brought in. After so many years, the now empty supply decks could be built into, and the race started. Lack of supplies meant that space could be used for the growing population. Would the space be created quickly enough? That was the first question. But with more and more people, would there be enough food? That was the answer that was given. However, this ship that has been steadily growing inside is about to give birth, to release to the emptiness outside many of its smaller ships. We are soon to colonize the Earth, the blue planet.